Conversations with a Tree, written by Jane Warren Campbell in 2012, narrated by the author, Chapter 5, starting with the poem Blessed Be. Blessed be the eyes that behold beauty in each cloud, each pebble on the beach. Blessed be the ears that hear the wind whispering in the leaves and listen for the song. Blessed be the heart that rejoices at each glimpse of the new dawn. Blessed be your tears as you touch the soul of Mother Earth and feel not her pain, but her love. Blessed be. Chapter 5. Our Teachers, the Trees. As my relationship with the trees expanded, I was excited to start sharing my experiences with others. I was curious to see what their thoughts would be, and I was blessed to know just where to start. When I made the move from the city to my new small town home, I was fortunate to have a friend living close by who invited me to join a small weekly meditation group she was a part of. I knew this group of women would be open to hearing about my conversations with the tree. Living in rural Nova Scotia, they also felt a deep connection to nature, and they were happy to discover their own connection to the trees based on my experiences. A few times when we were meeting, we would go out into the yard, and each of us would place our hands on the same tree and tune in to see what the tree had to share with us. With all of us connecting to the same tree, we could compare notes. As we did, my awareness of the trees expanded even more. I discovered that others in the group would get the same sense of the tree that I did. For example, one tree in the yard was indeed a young tree in relative terms, and it held the sense of being adolescent. It didn't hold the same sense of maturity that other trees did, or have a sense of duty about it. My friends who were sensitive to the trees had the same feeling. We also played with hearing the tone of the tree. This came from my awareness that everything holds a vibration, and vibration creates sound. I also use sound in my healing practice, so it was natural for me to bring it to our tree experience. I would do my best to duplicate what I was hearing as the tree's tone, and most often it would match what another person in the group was sensing as well. In the corner of the yard stood another older tree that I felt was the guardian for the property. Again, others received the same feeling as I did regarding the tree holding a sense of purpose. This was the first time that I recognized that trees have a role to play in their environment, similar to us humans having a sense of purpose. I knew that Henrietta was a matriarch of the forest grove she was in, but never thought of other roles that different trees might hold. When I checked in with Henrietta, she said trees often held a sense of purpose. She gave the example of a tree in a park that is particularly beautiful, displaying a grand array of blossoms or leaves. Such trees have the role of bringing pleasure to all who enter the park, and do so by attracting people into the area in which it was planted. Of course, trees in a park often have the perfect environment to grow in, being well attended and free of encumbrances from other trees. And yet, I sensed from Henrietta that they would take that opportunity as part of their purpose in being. Georges also offered the same understanding in this message. You live in a magnificent world, along with all that is on this earth. You humans often feel a bit lost, trying to make life what you would like it to be, and so I would like to address this with you today. You see, as trees, we have no choices to make. We stand and grow and reach for the water with our roots and reach for the sunlight with our branches. We welcome birds and insects onto our branches, and we watch the world go by, so to speak. We do not run or play, we just grow. And yet, if you touch the branches or the trunk of a small tree, you will still feel the energy of youthfulness. You might wonder how that can be. A tree is a tree, and yet we say to you that trees not only have different personalities, they also have different ages and stages, just like humans. You see, along with the years of standing and growing comes a certain maturity. After being in a place for a certain number of years, a tree comes to learn what its role is in that place. It comes to understand what its purpose is and what it can offer to the living creatures that surround it. So a tree in your yard will come to watch over you and project a loving energy towards you and perhaps a protective energy. A tree in a park may feel that its role is to be more showy, so that people will admire the park and feel that it is worth having in their community. Trees take on their roles relative to the area in which they are located. Have you ever known a stand of trees to die all within a matter of years? This is not a common occurrence for trees, yet it does happen. The author of these words visited the home where she grew up as a teen, and all the stately maples that had surrounded the front yard had died. She knew immediately that the trees did not receive the same appreciation and nurturing that her family had given them, and they died, and she was right. As the trees adjusted to their environment, if that environment dramatically changes, the trees can lose their sense of purpose and die. This is just another reason to love the trees in your area. Let them know that you see them and appreciate them. They will feel more important in their earth mission when you do. I was fascinated to learn from Georges that my hunch about all the maples dying was true. My parents would spend every evening in the summer sitting out in the front yard. The original homeowners had planted maples all along the circular driveway. There were probably 4 or 5 large maples planted on each side of the front of the house, edging the driveway. One in particular received the greatest attention from my family. It was closest to the house, and we often sat nestled under its canopy on hot summer days and evenings, enjoying the outdoors and the sweet short season of summer. I remember my stepfather once saying, "If trees could talk, imagine the stories this one would tell." With that memory, I find myself indeed wondering what the trees would have to share now that I am able to communicate with trees. Sadly, that will not happen, as all the maples that blessed our front yard have made their way back to the earth from which they arose. Not too long after I left home, my parents sold the house. It was definitely in need of repair, and yet my mother would lovingly care for the property, planting flowers and gardens, and doing what she could to create beauty around us. The new homeowners let the house go even more and eventually put a mobile home on the property. Many years passed before my curiosity took me back to see the property. At that point, I had young children of my own and wanted to show them where I grew up. I was deeply saddened to see the stately, magnificent maples that once stood so proudly around the property were either dead or dying. It seemed odd to me that all the trees would die at the same time. My guess is that they would have been 100 to 150 years old at that time. That would match the timeline when the house had been built. However, sugar maples can live to be 300 to 400 years old, so for them all to be dying at that time was odd. There was no evidence that the dead trees were part of some disease. The acreage that came with the house was full of sugar maple trees that appeared to be thriving. It certainly seemed to confirm what George had said about trees losing their sense of purpose. My rationale for their death was that they were no longer appreciated and loved. For us, they were like part of the family. Of course, this is all speculation, but it is a curious phenomenon that they all died at once. My experiences with my friends, tuning into trees the same way I did, gave me the courage to tell more people about my conversations with the trees. I developed a workshop to share what I was learning from the trees and encourage others to develop their own connection. What I found to be the most valuable outcome from these workshops was that others were given permission, in a sense, to share their relationship they have always had with the trees. Of course, anyone choosing to attend such a workshop is going to have a nature connection to start with, and yet many were hesitant to share their deep love of nature or the deeper connection they have had with trees outside of the workshop environment. Some were talking about their love of the trees for the first time ever. The fear of ridicule or the thought of not being understood held them back from being open about their relationship with the trees. One of the many benefits that others gained from the workshop was the validation of knowing that they weren't the only one with such an affinity toward trees. The workshop provided a safe space to be able to share and be open about their love of nature and their special connection with trees. For me, it was a delight to learn that others were having similar visceral experiences with the trees as I was. At one of my workshops, a woman enjoyed the day so much that she invited me to be the entertainment at her upcoming 50th birthday party. She lived in a beautiful home surrounded by trees, so we were able to go through the workshop without leaving her property. As the day was coming to a close, I decided to offer a personal message from one particular tree to each person who was there. They could either ask a question or simply receive a message. Some were given health advice, some were given a sense of their life purpose, and others were given solutions to a particular problem. As the messages came through, I could sense how the tree was accessing the unique characteristics of each person, delivering information that was accessed from a higher source, the all that is, as I learned from Henrietta and George. The trees are a vast source of wisdom and knowledge, and we can access that wisdom using the information and methods that I offer in the next chapter. Henrietta also informed me that the trees benefit from our presence in the forest as well. Like so much of the natural world, there seems to be a symbiotic relationship between humans and the trees. Here is what she says about this. We, the trees, have a deep love for humans, for you see, you have the capacity to carry much love light in your hearts, so that when you pass us by, we can benefit from that light. We can feel it and absorb it into our molecules and use it for sustenance. Just as your hearts have an energy field that sustains you, it can also offer benefit to those whom you encounter. Some humans do not see the trees as they pass by, and their light is more closed down, with their focus in their minds. Others have wide open hearts, mothers in particular, and offer much love as they pass by. This is one way in which trees enjoy humans. It allows us to grow healthy and strong. And we would say that when you connect with us, it also sustains you. We offer our love back to you when you are willing to receive. Those who take the time to stop and connect with us get a shot of love as they do so. This is how trees can comfort. We are happy to advise you that the more you connect to nature, the more you are supported by it. If you were to put more faith into the knowing that nature provides everything you need, you would soon do everything you could to protect every tree, every species. The following story shows how quickly the connection can happen when we are open to a new kind of relationship with nature. One day I was at an event where I had the opportunity to share some of the tree messages I had received with a few people in the group. A woman in her late 60s approached me, curious about this person who was talking about trees and receiving messages from them. Despite being in financial hardship, she was inspired to purchase my collection of messages from the trees, and off she went. Weeks later, I was speaking at a spiritualist church and saw her in the audience. She came up to me after the gathering with a beautiful letter she had written for me. She didn't have my address when she wrote the letter and had no idea how to find me to deliver it. Then, as synchronicity would have it, A friend of hers, not knowing that there was any connection between the two of us, mentioned that I was going to be the speaker that night. She was delighted that the universe had lined things up for us to meet again. Her letter came straight from the heart. She wanted me to know how much the messages from the trees had changed her world. I was deeply moved to learn that the tree conversations inspired her to connect with a small shrub that had just been planted near the entrance of the apartment complex where she lived. She noticed that it wasn't being watered regularly, and she became its caretaker, sneaking out at 5:30 in the morning to water it. I assumed she was shy about giving attention to the shrub that wasn't even her responsibility. The letter went on to explain that, as she was giving special attention to this small shrub, it started communicating with her. Before this time, talking to a plant was completely out of her awareness. My heart soared to learn how the messages from the trees were opening up her world and leading to her own heartfelt conversations. The trees have so many blessings to share with us. As we open up to them, they open us up. Being the catalyst for this awakening fills my soul, for it tells me that we are indeed remembering what it is to be so connected to nature. The more of us who are remembering this ability, the more we will love and protect our environment. It's a beautiful win-win opportunity. It has been a few years since I first offered my tree workshop. In that time, humanity has continued to awaken with the ever-rising frequency of the earth. There is definitely a difference in the experiences people are having 4 years after my first tree workshops were offered. My recent foray into the forest with a small group of people was very exciting because I was the one being validated, as each person received beautiful teachings and support from the trees. Even participants who were a bit skeptical about it all received wisdom from the trees. One woman who participated said she felt that my presence opened up a receptive field to communicate with the trees, you could say, because the connection was not as strong when she returned by herself to the same trees a few days later. We all have a purpose in this world, based on natural abilities that we come in with. I know part of my mission at this time is to be leading humanity back to our connection with the earth. In the next chapter, I explain in more detail the methods I use in the workshop and offer the meditation I created so that you can have the benefit of the information to enhance your conversations with a tree. For now, I'll share some of what others have experienced after connecting with the trees. As I mentioned earlier, most people who would be interested in going into the forest to communicate with trees already have a love of nature. However, that often means being active in the forest like hiking or skiing. When I moved to the Rocky Mountains in Alberta, I found the community was very oriented to the outdoors. People were always active, mountain climbing or hiking or racing down the slopes. What I felt they were missing was a true connection to the beauty that was around them. They were busy doing instead of being present with their surroundings. We know from the research that they would be receiving benefits of being out in nature, regardless of their intention. However, for the stress reduction benefits, it's best to be more present with your surroundings and slow down enough to notice all the nuances that the forest has to offer. I went hiking one day with a couple of women half my age. It was great to sit at the mountain top and feel that accomplishment. And yet, on the way up, I felt I was missing all the little gifts that the trail had to offer, not wanting to hold up my companions by stopping every 5 minutes to admire the subtleties of the plant life on the trail. The difference between being present in nature and being active in nature is the invitation that the workshop brings to people. Participants are asked to be in stillness and truly connect to the trees that surround them. It opens up a new awareness that many of them said they will continue to enjoy. After I offered the introductory meditation and some of the research about trees, participants were invited to start by leaning against a tree to see what they felt. Everyone went to the same two trees so that we could compare what each was sensing from them, noticing any similarities, which helps confirm what people are experiencing. A few people felt the tree pulling them in like a magnetic force. This happens when standing with your spine against the tree, leaning your head onto the trunk as well. It seems to create an instant connection between you and the tree. One person was reminded to be playful, and the tree told her to draw inspiration from the dancing river that was flowing by. The tree was on the riverbank. It seems we can look to nature as an example of what we choose to create in our lives. First Nations people certainly know this, using animal medicine to understand their lives. Animal medicine is giving attention to the animals that appear to you in life, especially if it is an uncommon occurrence. For example, deer represents gentleness. When they appear, perhaps it is a reminder to be gentle with yourself or someone in your life. If I wanted to foster more playfulness in my life, I would call upon the medicine of otter. They are well known for their playful nature. The trees were offering this same wisdom in telling the person to use the dancing and delightful river energy as inspiration for play. There were several young people who attended my most recent workshop. Most were in their 20s. They attended thanks to an invitation from my daughter. What they experienced made me wonder if this generation is more open to the less tangible aspects of life, including conversations with a tree. They were having powerful experiences. One said he could feel the tree healing him and opening his heart as well as grounding him. I could tell that he was deeply moved by the surprise connection he felt with the trees and the ability to communicate so deeply. It confirms that the conversations are not only on the mental level. Most participants had body feelings and emotions arising as well when they were connecting to the trees. Several participants were close to tears or deeply moved when they shared their experiences. One participant felt himself being pulled into an ocean of green, the color of the heart chakra, and said it made him feel present, and he felt that his body liked it very much. My experience is that our bodies can benefit greatly from leaning against a tree. The tree automatically knows what needs to be done. This participant also had a strong feeling from the tree of how much the trees enjoy having humans connect to them, and how indeed it is a symbiotic relationship. He felt a deep reverence and appreciation from the tree. The trees have been serving us for so long, simply by being, that it seemed the tree appreciated being acknowledged as the participant was open to the communication that was happening and very receptive to the tree. Another participant was well aware of his connection to the trees, having accessed nature wisdom before through plant medicine. He offered a surprising tidbit of information that he received from the trees. They told him that people always benefit by being in the forest, even when they're not aware of it. Of course, we know this from the forest bathing research. However, what he learned was that the trees often help people who enter the forest with a troubled mind. The trees will offer insight that the person will think came from themselves, but was actually given to them by the trees. How wonderful is that? Not only does the forest support us physically, but we can solve our problems with their support without even trying. I know the trees do not expect or desire credit for this, yet it expresses another benefit of being in the forest. When we are troubled and need insight into a situation, we can walk among the trees and leave wiser than when we entered. When I asked the Earthwalk participants what stood out for them in their experience of the workshop, they told me that it made them realize that nature is alive and aware. That's a great description of the presence that it is in nature. We all know it is alive. It's a new understanding for most that it is also aware. It reminds me of a childhood animation where the trees are watching us as we pass by, only without the bad guy lurking in the background. Imagine walking through the forest or a wooded trail, knowing that every tree is aware of your presence, offering love and guidance as you pass by. This combination of alive and aware is so different from the technology that so many of us connect to today. Think of the hours a day spent on our phones or in front of the TV or on the computer. Technology is man-made. It does not hold the vitality of the natural world. It has no life force, and even though it seems to have intelligence, it does not have awareness. Nature, on the other hand, is created by the all that is. It has beneficial properties, unlike the harmful electrical fields that our man-made technology emits. Being in nature brings us back to our true nature. This came forward in Richard Louve's work as well. In a world where most of us put on a mask to fit in or be who we think others want or expect us to be, returning to one's true self can be a great release and relief. Certainly the trees love you not only as you are, but specifically because of who you are. That is unconditional love, and it is what the trees have to offer us. Loving each one of us for unique qualities without comparison or the need to fit a certain standard offers more relief than many of us recognize. Some participants were told that if they are ever feeling alone, they can connect with the tree and talk to the trees because they are always listening. The trees have shared this with me as well. We may think, well, a tree can't hug me or hold me, and I would offer an argument to that. Yes, a tree will not move its branches to reach out and give you a hug, but the love that I have felt from the trees goes much deeper than what most human exchange as feelings of love. It drops so deeply into the heart that, as I have said, I am moved to tears in experiencing it. We can experience affection from another person and never drop into that level of unconditional love. Henrietta explained the state of being that will allow us to return to that level of love in this way. Humanity needs to be flexible and accept the changes that you see all around you. It must happen. Resisting it will only make it more difficult. The more people can flow with what is, the easier their lives will be. We, the trees, would highly recommend walking among us to make this transition easier. For you see, we do not resist what is. We know what is unfolding on the earth, and we accept all that is. Because of this, we remain in the constant state of love, and so being with us will allow you to feel that love. You will feel the harmony of no resistance that is the trees. You will feel the stillness. By being in nature, you will allow yourselves to walk in this harmony as well. You will come to appreciate us more than you have in the past. You will look at us differently, for you will see the qualities of yourselves there. You will see our branches reaching into the heavens, and see that you also desire to be connected to the all that is. You will see our leaves flourishing and growing as spring moves into summer, and you will see that you too feel more celebratory as summer approaches. You will see our branches reaching out to touch one another, and you will appreciate those around you. By being among us, you will find your own self. It is the stillness of being in nature that will bring you back to your own center. Here's a message from George that explains on what they offer us. I would like to tell you about the energies that a tree emits and how we connect to humans. When you walk by a tree, it knows that you are there, and it sends out a field of light or energy to you as you pass by. It is our role to be supportive to all of nature, and so we do this to support you in your lives. We pull our energy from the all that is, the same way that you do. So, we can offer that energy to you. People who are particularly loving will receive a different energy than someone who has intent to harm. The point is that we respond to our environment and to the people in our environment. If you would like to receive supportive energies through the day, send your loving kindness and thoughts to the trees around you, and they will send the same to you. Every time you see them or think of them, they will send loving energies to you. That is why people can live in seclusion in the woods, for example, and feel so loved without the need for human contact. As you know, humans can be very hurtful, but you will not feel hurtful energies from a tree. By loving the trees in your surroundings will feel more loving to you. Your surroundings will feel more like your own little sanctuary as you relate to your trees. The one who writes these words has fond memories as a teenager of her relationship with trees. They were her support. They are what got her through troubled times. She did not know the depth of it at the time, but she could feel their support and their love, doing what they could to comfort her. Many of you, as you read this, will have similar memories. You dismiss them, but in truth, it is the trees connecting with you and vice versa. So, we are sentinels of loving support for you. Fortunately, we are all over the planet, each climate bringing forth different species. Oh, the diversity of this beautiful earth is genius. Please appreciate it. There is so much wisdom in the evolution of the natural world, and there is so much of your soul residing there. The more you connect with it, the more you connect with yourself. The more you truly connect with the natural world, the more you realize all that you are. All the emptiness will be lifted from you as you connect more with the earth. Even those of you who do not think that you have a strong connection to the earth, if you would allow yourself to spend more time in nature, you will find that you are more relaxed and just a little more content with the world. It is like therapy being in nature. Free, affordable, convenient therapy. Why not give it a try? Good question indeed. As noted earlier, research is showing that it is not only physical benefits that we receive from being in nature. We also benefit mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Earthwalk participants have also received the message that the trees come together as a group to offer healing to humans who walk among them. The trees stand as individuals, as the workshop attendees realized, offering support in their own unique way, and also join together, in a sense, to offer group support. The trees also shared that once someone connects with them in person, they can make the same connection later on without having to be present in the forest. This was also told to me by the trees. Henrietta let me know that I can always connect with her, regardless of where I am. This makes sense if we accept that we are accessing information and memories from the field, where there is access to all. I have learned from my forays into the forest with others that the trees are indeed our teachers, even when we don't realize we are being taught. Part of their purpose in being here is not only to support the great diversity of life that lives in, on, or near the trees, but to support us humans as well. A few years ago, I was zip-lining while still living in Nova Scotia. After our adventures of flying from tree to tree, we were led to a small shack to remove our gear. As I was unharnessing myself, I looked up and there was a National Geographic centerfold photograph of the president, a giant sequoia tree in California. It is the second largest tree on Earth according to National Geographic. It stands at 247 feet tall and is estimated to be 3,200 years old. Being me, I again found myself in tears the second I caught sight of it. Why I have these visceral experiences of such incredible appreciation for trees is still unknown to me. What I do know is that I want to meet that tree. Years after that experience of seeing the president, as I write these words, I'm sitting on a beach on Vancouver Island. It is my new home as of a few weeks ago. One of the great blessings of being here is the ancient trees. To look up the trunk of a 350-year-old cedar for me is a humbling experience. I am immediately pulled into the awareness that the tree's experiences of life is far beyond my short human journey. It leaves no doubt in my mind that the trees have unconditional love to share, for I am moved just by being in their presence. When I think of what it means to be a master, to hold wisdom garnered from years of stillness, it reminds me of what I feel from the trees. The trees can be our teachers if we allow ourselves to recognize the presence that is tree. When we realize, as I have learned from the trees and other people, that they support us with insight, love, guidance, energy, cleansing, and wisdom, we are on our way home, for the trees are in our experience for a reason. They are part of this beautiful planet that we inhabit. They respond to the world very much as we do. They are grateful for our presence, for they know, more than we do it seems, what we have to offer just by being here. The more we pay attention and realize that all is connected, the sooner we will return to our magnificence as demonstrated by the trees. The great teachers are the ones who teach by example. They live their wisdom, ready to share with those who have the insight to ask. The trees have been holding ground on this earth, some for centuries, waiting for our awareness to return, waiting to be asked, and then joyfully respond, for they have so much to share. It moves my soul to know that we are on our way back to the wisdom and guidance that comes from nature. In our return, we will come to honor the land once again, and as we honor the land, we will soon find that we are honoring each other and ultimately ourselves. As I move along in my journey, I find myself ever closer to the most ancient of trees, the giant sequoia of California. Although I did not recognize it as an intention, I see now that there are no mistakes. My willingness to move and move and move again has led me ever closer to my new teachers, the gentle giants that inhabit the West Coast. I see now that they have been calling me. At this point, I can only imagine the awe and admiration I will feel, being in a forest full of those incredible beings called the giant sequoia. It is an adventure I anticipate with great delight. When I moved from Nova Scotia to Alberta, the trees told me they had been waiting for me. Perhaps this message from Georges holds the explanation of why they are waiting. They are happy to know that their wisdom will be shared. I am delighted to have this opportunity to speak through you today to all those who will read these words. We, the trees, are delighted that we can speak to so many through Jane. We carry wisdom that is seldom recognized. We understand the way of the natural world. We witness the way of the human in your state of being disconnected from the natural world around you, and we have less understanding of that. It makes us sad, you could say, that humans do not fully accept the opportunity to use trees for their benefit. For you see, not only do we give you oxygen to breathe, but we give you energy. There is a great energy exchange between humans and trees. We have the ability to turn the energy of the sun into green growth. Humans do not use the sun in this way, and so the energy we give off in that process benefits you. This has not been studied before, for no one has thought to do so. We invite your scientists to study the energy that is transmitted off of trees and how it is of benefit to humans. There is an exchange in this way as well. I have in brackets, this is not a reference to the phytochemicals that benefit us. We can support you, and we do, but you are not aware of our support. It is why people feel so good when they live among the trees. Humans also need sunlight, so it is not good to allow the trees to keep you constantly in the shadows, but it is good to have trees around you. In your cities, trees are planted to beautify and to make people feel better about where they live. We are an essential part of the human experience. The energy we give off is life-giving, just as oxygen is. We can support your life force with our life force. We stand tall and gather the life force energy of the earth and the sun. With our ability to do this, we have much to offer to you as well. Touch a tree and you can feel this energy run through you. This is one way in which humans can benefit from being more connected to nature. You are, but you have forgotten. With this wisdom coming forward, you will develop more understanding about the symbiotic relationship that we have. You support us, and we support you. Nature has many systems which function in this way. It is the way of harmony. It is the way of the natural world. Even as you see animals killing for their survival, as humans do, know that it is a harmonious relationship, even though it ends in death for some. Nature knows that balance must be maintained for the highest benefit of all. However, in the natural systems, much of this balance is voluntary. Many species produce young in accordance with the availability of food. There is a natural respect for the environment, and young are not brought into the world where there will not be enough to sustain them. Species other than humans respect the balance that is required for the sustenance of all. Humans, however, think only of their place in this hierarchy and do not consider the needs of those lower on the food chain. Humans do not even consider the need for balance. Much of what you do is out of balance. You find a nutritional substance that is beneficial and you isolate it from the source. You magnify its potency and use it that way instead of understanding that the food that originally contained the vitamin or whatever the nutritional substance is had many key components that allow the body to efficiently use the nutritional value of the substance. This is one way of how you are out of harmony with nature. And now you are seeing your bodies very much out of balance, with many illnesses and emotional disturbances affecting humans at this time. By finding your way back to the natural world and learning about how things work in nature, you will rediscover the truth of who you are as humans in relation to the earth. There was a time when all lived in great harmony. It was a time when life was simple. There need not be technical advancements that lead you away from nature. You can use your technology to be in harmony with nature as well. It is the choices you make that lead you from this balance. Come back to your source of life. It is like returning home after a long dispute. Find your way back to the natural world by being interested. Come stand by a tree, touch the trunk, and see what you feel. If nothing, that is okay. Send your love to the tree and know that it will be felt and return to you tenfold. Nature has a lot to give, but it must be respected. All resources can be depleted when thrown out of balance. Humans have proven that. Look to nature for evidence of harmony, and then ask where you can recreate that in your own lives. This would be good for humanity at this time. I would like to end by saying that we are waiting. We are excited to think that humans will find their way back to nature through the trees. We are waiting. Thank you for listening, and the next chapter will be uploaded very soon. Please like and share with your friends so that all may have access to this beautiful wisdom from the trees.